right, top of the morning to everyone. Hope everyone's enjoying their Thursday morning. We got a really cool one here for you today. I just want to go ahead and get this out of the way. Okay, like I had mentioned in a previous video, I have been struggling mightily with allergies. Okay, much like a lot of other folks in the U.S. and other countries. I sound like verifiable crap up until about June when the temperatures get up to about 100 degrees. So I wanted to show my debt of gratitude. Thank you for everyone for hanging tough. For a lot of people, it hasn't been easy. And especially, when I'm all stuffed up, okay? Not only does it stuff up my sinuses, but my brain functions about 80% of normal. And that's no big surprise. I'll stutter, like I'm doing right now through my words. It'll take me a while to get to my next point. All right. But in any event, I want to thank everyone for hanging tough. This same time every year sucks balls, man. I hate it. And, some of the comments that I've seen here in the last few days, unwarranted, get to the point, you sound horrible, this and that, blow your nose. And believe me, I do. And I wanted to let everybody know that I'm greatly appreciative of that. So our friend of the channel, Scott Holiday, sent me a nice other care package. And he has a wide range of things we're going to talk about. Okay, what do certain coins look like in various situations while you're like searching through change? Some coins in here are very subtle. You could be overlooking or passing over, a coin that is much more significant than what it looks like with the naked eye. Okay, which is why I stress if you are at all interested in coins or getting into it, the number one most absolute important investment is always a good magnifier. All right. Now this one right here is a little bit extreme. This is a 30 times, but if you had something that was an 8 or a 10 times power, that is more than sufficient for looking through a lot of these coins. Okay. Furthermore, I've also had a couple people, mention, hey, what are some of these items do I have here before you? Well, okay, you've seen the $50 National in a previous video. So, I'm kind of doing something fancy, kind of doing like props in the background to help kind of stimulate the mind, I guess, to just show everyone that I'm not all about coins and currency. So this right here is an early speculative piece. It's a CGC graded 9.2 X-Men 130. Dazzler, by the way, someone had mentioned, hey, she's holding a microphone. Well, she's a singer, and her special power is just like throwing bewildering, dazzling lights at the enemy, at the bad guys, the villains, whatever. But the reason why this is an early speculative piece, this is one I've had for years, okay? And for those of you that like comic books like I do, I'm more of the, I've grown up through the Copper Age, okay, which is like late 80s, early 90s. But I've always aspired to have some of the earlier Silver Age pieces, like this one right here. I don't know. This one's what, 1980? So it's right there at the cutoff of the Silver and the Copper Age. I think the end of the Silver Age is 1979, if I'm not mistaken. But Dazzler will be in the upcoming X-Men Dark Phoenix movie. I'm a fan of comic book movies, always have been. I'm kind of a dork that way, but if you're into coins, what else can you expect? But this is a rather pleasing example right here. They get pretty pricey once you get up into like 9.8 or higher. I know it's kind of hard to imagine a comic book that's nearly 40 years old to ever grade out, anything higher than a 9.8. But you'll have clean binding and all that on there. But pretty neat piece. I'm into comic books. Sometime in the near future, you're going to see me do a video on this. And by the way, if you wanted to fast forward to the actual meat and bones of this video, feel free to do so. This is all pretty much just kind of talking about the backdrop. I also have a piece of copper ore in its most origin of forms, okay, in its raw form before it's even produced into wire, coins, planchets, various other industrial goods. This one, of course, also has the information card. This particular piece of ore came from Michigan. All right, Keweenaw Peninsula. I guess you guys do a lot of mining of copper up there. So that one right there, I paid, I think a few years ago, I paid like $4 for it. It's just a neat little oddity piece I've added to the backdrop of Blue Ridge Silverhound's little soiree here. Of course, I don't like things that are stressy. So if you came by to talk about coins, it's probably one of the least stressful things to talk about, unless you're completely about just making money. All right. In some regards, I can help. Some others, I can't. But anyways, enough about that. We're going to go ahead and get to talking about some coins. We're going to take a look at coins that are errors and varieties, and some that could probably fool you. So being able to differentiate between the various different coins we find out there will help. Okay, and the reason why I say I recommend a magnifier for errors and varieties is that to be able to understand what some of these coins look like, you have to look at them up close. Okay, what exactly is a coin that exhibits lamination? All right. Why does it happen? How can you tell between a genuine example and one that has been altered outside the mint, which at that point it's post-mint damage? Okay, so this is one of my pieces. Okay, while it exhibits a genuine lamination on the coin, okay, it does have a couple rim dings. So this is kind of like the best of both worlds. It has a real world error on there. However, it's got a little bit of damage, and being able to tell the difference between the two is important when you get into coin roll hunting, because when we're out there searching through pocket change or coin rolls, it is by far the very first route to collecting coins or even remotely getting started with it. Okay, most folks don't even have a coin shop in town. They're kind of like a dying breed out there, you know, so you'll be lucky to have one or two coin shops at even some of the bigger metropolitan areas. All right. Here in the Sacramento area, I think we have about 4 or 5, you know, for this area, you know, that includes other, you know, suburbs like Roseville, Rockland, Elk Grove, this area. You know, if I feel like there should be probably double the amount of coin shops. And at one point there was. So being able to untap, you know, your online sources to look at coins like this is gonna be important. Okay, Error Reference, the website, is one of the websites that I bookmark, and so should you. You know, they have full explanations of what a lamination is and various other different types of anomalies. Okay, and it's a really useful site. So, anyways, I wanted to start out with that. So we're going to start out with probably one of the coolest pieces that Scott has ever sent me. And how about a contemporary hobo nickel? Okay, and what this is simply someone had crafted, okay, and re-engraved a pretty worn down buffalo nickel. This is just one I pulled out of my side over here. So, you know, at the time when these were produced, you know, in the 20s, 30s, you know, even the 40s, people would take time and actually re-engrave the front of a rather worn buffalo nickel into a piece of art. Now, I've been asked quite a few times, what exactly is contemporary? Contemporary means that this was made and fabricated at the time or pretty close to the time of release. Okay, let's say this nickel is in 1935. This would have been made somewhere around 5-10 years, you know, plus or minus, around, you know, that time period. Okay, as opposed to one that is a modern, hobo nickel would be just considered modern. Okay, within the last, you know, 20, 30, 40 years. So contemporary means it's a period correct enhancement, you know, kind of like your love tokens and other various forms of post-mint artistic, you know, type of coinage. The hobo nickel, this one right here, I could tell right away that is a contemporary piece. If you've ever scoured eBay for hobo nickels, man, there are crafters, artists that go well above and beyond in producing some of the most insane hobo type coins, okay? And not just nickels, okay? That people have actually, you know, done silver, candy half dollars, Ike dollars, you name it. Go check it out sometime. Type in hobo nickel and just look at all the various engravings, even the most modern within the last, you know, there are people that do that for a living, and they sell these coins for between $500 and $1,000 a pop. So pretty amazing stuff, but that is a cool contemporary right there. So this one right here, he sent this to me, and he had a question mark. Is this a mint error? Okay, it looks like there was a lot of wear here. It looks a little bit undergraded, but by the time I give you the reason why that this had happened and why it looks like this, Scott, you'll see why. Okay, so if you were to get in close with a magnifier in between the letters and things of that nature, okay, what this coin is at one point this coin was subjected to some sort of acid bath, whether intentionally or not. And then the coin was reintroduced into circulation, and then you have, you know, kind of like the overall wear of the pebbly surface as a result of that acid bath. All right, so this is just a recirculated damaged coin. So, you know, it has lost about 0.14 grams of weight, which is in line with the acid etching on here, and then the recirculation of the coin. I've come across quite a few of these in my wheat penny bags, and I know for sure that this is what it is. Even folks on, you know, some of those Facebook groups that I'm a part of, and even the forum sites, okay, they all say the same thing. It's just a recirculated acid damaged coin, okay? If anything, this is a good reference coin to keep. So for those of you that do find something like this, okay, definitely keep an example of this. Eventually, you'll find one in nickels too, you know, and various other denominations. Definitely keep them as a reference. So something to kind of compare to. So right here, this one, I could see why this was pulled aside, all right? Now, it's a 1970s Jefferson nickel. Obviously, you know, you see two lines on the back. Okay, you have some flattening. This is post-mint damage, okay? That is pretty clear. It's not a true mint canceled coin, first of all, because it's not waffled, okay? They've been using waffle presses, which give it kind of like a tic-tac-toe board effect, and it's wavy, okay? This coin is still flat, although it's probably bowed when these were put through some sort of machinery or possibly through a vise, but seeing as how this is flattened, this was done industrial, but it was not cut all the way, which is interesting. It was close. It was close though. So some sort of cutting machine, okay, you know, was, you know, used to produce what you see here, 4.8 grams. Yeah, I mean, you know, if I grabbed another nickel and actually put it right over it, you'll see that it's also stretched out the coin to an extent. So it's, you know, if this was in a coin roll, it would definitely puff out of the paper than a regular, you know, Jefferson nickel. But again, this is another coin that I would, you know, consider just keeping as a reference. Okay, so another telltale sign is, because of its damage, you have this buildup all along the cut or the indentation. Plus you also have other smaller, you know, areas there, okay, and then it's much deeper here than it is here, so the blade came down at kind of an angle, all right? Otherwise it would have been just, you know, a complete, very consistent channel in this cut. But anyways, that's post-mint damage. So in case you guys are wondering, you know, what something like that is that. So that is enough of the kind of like very controversial type of stuff. What I have here for you, the next like 5 or 6 coins, okay, is simply going to be awesome. All right, so Scott, thank you again for allowing me to do this video with your inventory. So you guys know I have quite the affinity for struck through grease coins, primarily because all of a sudden these coins are selling for a good deal of money on the secondary market. Excuse me. So, woo! There we go, dust in my throat. But the more crazy the disappearance of a lot of these details on the relief, like, you know, the date, most of Liberty, and the reason why it's circular toward the edge of the coin is, okay, by the way, struck through grease, you know, there was just extra grease on the die, probably more so because it doesn't show any more, you know, details on here. But the grease will kind of push out to the edges of the die, and that's why you have that buildup around the edge. All right, and that's why you have more of the devices missing. In God We Trust is virtually obliterated on this coin. You have a lot of soft areas on the obverse. And then the reverse, it has a nice good dose of grease as well. So all these devices, letters around the edge, gone. A coin like this is valuable because it's affected both sides, and you have predominantly a lot of the more meaningful information disappeared on the coin. I've done videos on this like this before, you know, and coins like this sell, you know, 20, 25 bucks with relative ease. I wouldn't be surprised if it went for more money. So a struck through grease coin like this, okay, and you know, you could tell one that was struck through grease as opposed to just worn. This is a copper coated zinc coin. So after a while, if it was really genuine wear, you know, especially to the extent of what it looks like here, you'll see some of that zinc core come through, okay? But this is a genuine mint error right here. Good job. That's a nice one. So the next few coins, I'll have to go underneath the magnifier for a couple of them. This particular coin right here, didn't know quite what to expect here, I guess. But this is a post-strike flip over of a lamination, okay? The cool thing about these Silver War nickels, Scott, is that they have terrible improperly annealed planchets, okay? Same as some of the mid-generational Buffalo nickels into the 30s. These things have been plagued with issues. Now, a couple other telltale signs of a lamination is you have little lamination areas here going this direction on the obverse, okay? And then you have the fold over after the strike. And the reason why I say after the strike is on the fold, you could actually see the strike from In God We Trust right on this flat. So it's kind of cool. I like this. If we flip it over, we have even more lamination, ladies and gentlemen. You see these little scales and peels right here. Okay, that's more of the improperly annealed planchet things going on. This is a cool coin. Again, something like this, because you have the flip over and fold, very valuable. Okay, this is not your typical lamination that just sells for $5-10 bucks. Okay, we're talking quite a bit more money. How much that is, well, that's all dependent on what the market is. But I know Scott, he's not out to actually sell these. He is a collector, true collector. I like that. So that's the flip and fold there. Okay, so what we have here, this one's pretty cool. This coin right here, you'll see, you know, not quite close up, but close enough. But this is a 1944S Silver War nickel. That is an absolute stunning condition. It is full steps. It says silver bullet, but you'll get to see that as I flip it over. There is a strike through right here that looks like it is in the shape of a bullet. All right, so you'll see that on the close-up as well. But there's a few other things that we'll look at too. There's some doubling, whether or not they're machine doubling or mechanical remains to be seen. We'll get under the magnifier for that. It's got beautiful steps, by the way. This is a full steps nickel. Aside from that, it's got a rimmed Monticello die crack here that you can actually see on this shot. Plus, there's also another one that goes here also. So you got two very prominent cracks. If I had to guess, this die was terminal at this point. Some of the devices just look a little bit mushy. You have some deterioration in there. But this is a cool piece. I like this. And I'm glad that he was able to send this to me to show you folks out there. All right, and I have one more coin that I'd like to show you. It's actually a Buffalo nickel. It's a 36. I didn't see this one in conjunction with any sort of notable doubled die, Scott. I mean, it looks pretty normal. I do have the double die obverse Cherry Picker's Guide Variety 1 of the double die obverse 1936p, which I've done in a previous video, and it's night and day. And I went on Wexler's site to just kind of see if there was anything additional on this coin, and I couldn't find anything. So on the reverse, you have a strike through, which completely obliterated the E and 5, which is cool. Okay, that's one of those situational struck through grease coins. Situational being that, you know, it affects a small part of a coin, some sort of area where, you know, maybe a number in the date would be missing. Those are cool. A specific letter in one of the motto or the other verbiage on the coin would be disappeared also. This is a really neat example. And error collectors in the community pay up for something like this. And because it's a Buffalo nickel, folks, with a grease, struck through grease and complete elimination of one letter here, this is rare. Much more rare than we lead to believe, because something like this generally comes up in newer coins. So very rarely do we see it on some of the older issues like this one right here. And it's in beautiful shape too. It looks like it's about a VF. Okay, it's got nearly a full horn on there. But this is a really cool example of, yet again, another, you know, error that is commonly overlooked. So thank you, sir, for showing this to everyone. So we have 3 other coins. We're going to get in close on the magnifier to take a look at these, and let's see what we could find. All right, so here's the 44 that we looked at previously with that strike through. And the reason why I started at this particular shot, this is indeed a double die. Okay, and the big giveaway on this, see the split serif right there on S, and then you have various other light doubling characteristics on a lot of the other letters on here, but that S is it's the one that really sets this apart. Now it is what they call a minor double die. Okay, you can see a little bit of splitting at the bottom of the eye as well. To a lesser extent, that bottom serif there does indeed exhibit notching along with the top of the G and various other places. This is just an overall peach of a coin. Now, like I said, this is a minor double die. Not in the Cherry Picker's Guide, of course, but these are collectible. People like these. Again, it's very, very easy to spot with a 10 times power magnifier. So there's that one die crack that goes right from the rim to the top of the dome there. And then we also have another minor crack right there. Okay, and believe it or not, that actually does make it all the way to the building. But really nice coin. And then there's that strike through that goes through the sea. It looks like a bullet. It looks like a torpedo, which is really cool. I like that. And again, the beautiful steps. They look pretty clean. I would say this is a 5FS on the low side. You know, if a grader looked at it, you know, it'd probably give 6 full steps. I'm not sure. But really exceptional example there. So that's that one there. All right, so here's a 40S. Okay, and by the way, this is just a basic 1940S. Okay, it's a relatively plentiful date, in spite of the fact that it is a San Francisco. Some folks associate San Francisco with low mintage. That's not always the case. This one, however, has a really interesting die crack that we just don't see too often out there. Okay, this is called a bisecting die crack that virtually splits this coin in half. So you see the crack that starts between the U and S from the very edge into the field, into Monticello, and you can still see the crack, and it goes through the C, and then through the E in cents, and then between states and of. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the smoking gun of die cracks. Okay, if you want something that's going to make a statement, and a coin that I may even guess how much this coin is worth, because bisecting die cracks by nature compared to all the other ones are scarce. Scarce being that it's going to be like 1 in probably 25,000 coins that will exhibit a true bisecting die crack. So this 1940S, okay, because this is a bisecting on this particular date, there are other coins that you could find in 1940S. Okay, the one that really makes this one extra super duper special is that it is truly a mid-state coin. This thing is fantastic. There's a few little milk spots and a carbon spot or two, but this is a mid-state 64 example all day long with a really, really cool. Oh my God, this thing is amazing. I love this thing. I love it. All right, so good job discovering that. So the last coin here is simply unique, all right? And it's a 1999p Roosevelt dime that I have to say doesn't look like much from the front, but when you flip it over to the reverse, take a look at the flames. All right, so I have to flip it around here a little bit, but there are a few things happening here that are pretty interesting. And being able to get the lighting just right on it is going to be paramount in this. Because right here, I guess it might have been a die gouge or something, but right here, there's an extra lick of flames coming out the side here. Under a magnifier and the lighting just right, there it is. You see it? Wow, what a crazy coin. And something else you don't see also, this one actually has feeder finger damage right underneath the lick of flames. So it's got little parallel marks on there to show, you know, kind of like die scratches, but it's a feeder finger scrape on there. You can actually see the two little parallel lines right there. That's a diagnostic of such. But what a crazy coin. Clyde coins that have circulated for a little while, it's tough to see things like this, but that extra, what I would imagine would be a little die scrape or a dent would have produced that that extra flame lick on there, and probably it has something to do with the feeder finger damage. Okay, so pretty unique coins. But did you guys know that these even existed? There's a few of them, like the struck through grease, you know, and the lamination is a pretty easy one to identify. But there are a lot of coins out there that have tremendous values. We just don't know it yet. And the thing is, error coin collectors pay through the nose for some of the most unique anomalies. Okay, as long as they're legit, like the bisecting die crack. Again, I can't even tell you how much that coin's worth. Okay, that is a find in itself. But, you know, some of these coins, okay, it takes a little bit of looking. Okay, they're not on a spectacular key date type coin. These are all coins that are very findable in circulation or through rolls, through BU rolls, like old vintage BU rolls that aren't very expensive. But definitely keep your eye on this. And plus, you've also seen a few coins that just don't quite, you know, par up with genuine mint errors. But I'm glad to be able to talk with this about this with you. I do have a part 2 to this series, looking at also some repunchment marks of Lincoln pennies and also some Washington quarters that, you know, could be errors or could not be errors. We're going to debunk some of those. But I appreciate your guys' time on this one, as always. The best way you can support your boy Blue Ridge's channel, go ahead and hit that like button, share, subscribe, and I want to hear your comments. What did you like most about this video? It's definitely not the length of time for the video, but I had a lot of things going on here. Wanted to talk a little bit about my backdrop, which is fun. Eventually what happened. But, you know, thank you guys for joining. Thank you for all the support, you know, through these trying times of my allergies. And, yeah, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you guys have a wonderful day, And I'll see you on the next one. A lot of fun. Keep hunting, keep searching.